JBN, we keep you informed. 7-year-old crushed to death after truck overturns. A 7-year-old boy was crushed to death by building construction material which were being transported in a truck in which he was traveling after it overturned in his community on Friday afternoon. The deceased has been identified as Nathan Newell of a Belmont, St. James address. Reports are that about 2 p.m., the young lad was traveling in the back of the truck laden with building material up a steep hill when the driver lost control of the vehicle, which overturned. The boy was reportedly thrown from the truck and was crushed to death by large bags containing sand and stone. Noel's parents and sister, who were passengers in the cab of the truck with the driver, also sustained injuries and were taken to the hospital for treatment. The driver of the truck was reportedly taken into custody for questioning by the Anchovy police. Gunman cut down by cops. Firearms seized during Clarendon shootout. One man was fatally shot and another injured during a reported confrontation with the police on the Content Main Road, Four Paths, Clarendon, on Friday, April 3. Police said one Taurus 9mm pistol with a magazine containing 1 round of ammunition was seized during the incident. The deceased has been identified as 30-year-old Akeem White of Howells Content, Yorktown, Clarendon. The injured man, who is 29 years old, has been admitted in hospital. It is reported that the shooting incident occurred at about 3:35 p.m. following a request by police officers for a vehicle occupied by the men to stop. Investigators from the Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom Central Regional Office have since launched an investigation into the incident. According to reports, the investigation by Indicom almost did not take place. 2 days ago, Indicom officials raised concern that they were not placed on the list of exempted organizations whose members could remain on the roads after the 8 p.m. start time of a curfew that is now in effect in parishes across the island. Since the concerns were raised by Indicom, the Prime Minister announced that members of Indicom would be placed as part of the group of essential workers. Indicom officials explained that if it had not happened, their attempts to probe the shooting in Clarendon would have been a breach. Man charged for several breaches of the Sexual Offences Act. The police are reporting that a man was charged for several breaches of the Sexual Offences Act committed in 2014 and 2019. He is 33-year-old Dwayne Davis, a laborer of Havana Heights in Clarendon. Davis was charged with rape, grievous sexual assault, and incest. He was arrested and the charges laid against him after a report was made to the police that he engaged in sexual activities with a 14-year-old girl. His court date is being finalized. He will be barred from leaving Jamaica. Prime Minister Andrew Holness issued his sternest warning yet to people who landed in Jamaica during the period March 18 to 23 and have not reported to the health authorities. The Prime Minister was speaking yesterday at a digital press briefing at Jamaica House. These individuals will now be placed on a watch list and will be barred from leaving Jamaica. Why? They are the biggest threat at this time to the country's effort of stemming COVID-19. Further, the police will be going door to door in an effort to find these individuals, Holness stated. The Prime Minister also reminded that failure to report to the health authorities comes with a fine of $1 million and/or imprisonment of 12 months. First patient to recover from COVID-19 speaks. After hearing about his family's experience while he was in isolation, having tested positive for COVID-19, the man, who is Jamaica's first patient to recover from the virus, is begging his fellow countrymen not to discriminate against people who contract the disease. The 31-year-old cruise ship worker's appeal follows his release from the St. Ansby Hospital, where he had been in isolation for approximately 16 days, only fully recovering from the disease on the past weekend. Just go and move safe and nobody discriminate against people, because it's not every time them say something go as how them say it. People have it for semi-sounded and all kind of things. Somebody you're strong and I tell you no, say all is well, yeah? It's not a death sentence if you have it. Me now go say that it never kill me, the man, described by health officials as patient 5, noted in an interview at his home in Harrisontown, St. Anne. He asked not to be identified, stating that his diagnosis has caused enough pain for his spouse and 2 children, who not only had to endure the stigma associated with him testing positive, but were also the victims of burglary. His spouse said that while he remained in isolation, relationships with some residents in and around the community soured as rumors spread that she too had contracted the virus. The woman, who works as a hairdresser in Ocharios, explained that she has had to self-isolate as a result of hurtful comments, which she said have caused business to dry up. She said her ordeal began days after her spouse returned to the island on February 25. He had been based in Europe, traveled to Miami in the United States, and then to Montego Bay. When him coming to Portland and I was talking to him on the phone, I realized him have flu. So I said to him, say, go to the doctor. And him say, it's just a change of climate. And me never want to go. So I was in Portland for a week, and then him come back and I said to him, you're still not going to the doctor? And him said, no. Then I tell him, go to the doctor. And say him go to the doctor on the 10th of March, the woman explained. She said he complied and underwent several tests before being released the same day. The woman said shortly after the tests were conducted, rumors began circulating that her spouse had tested positive for the virus. Me ask him what go wrong, and him said that when he went to the hospital, they sent him back home. Him said the doctor tell him say him can't leave. So I went back down there with him the Wednesday the 11th, and they told me that it was a misunderstanding, she said, noting that the man confronted health workers about the rumor that he had contracted the virus and was again told that there had been a misunderstanding. She said the following day a nurse from the hospital contacted her, inquiring the whereabouts of her spouse, and asked her if he had left home at any point in time since being tested before ending the call. Later that evening, the hairdresser said she received a second phone call from the nurse, who again inquired about the man's whereabouts before advising that he was not to leave home as health officials would be visiting to transport him to the hospital. So they come about 2 o'clock in the morning and pick him up and then gone with him. And me call back the nurse and say, so what really wrong? And she tell me, so them going to take him to the hospital. And they're going to tell him what happened, and he will call me back and tell me what happened. She recounted. She said about 9 a.m. the nurse contacted her again and instructed her to remain at home. At approximately 7 p.m., health officials transported the woman and her 2 children to the hospital, where they were tested for COVID-19. We were there Saturday all day until Sunday, and then the results come back and then tell us that we're negative and we couldn't go home. From that time, there has been a big impact on my work and stuff, because people down there saying that me have corona. Nobody don't want to come into the shop with my co-workers, nor me. Even though they are spreading rumors that me still have corona, the woman lamented. Nobody no called me from that about here, she added. She said that thieves burglarized a section of her house last Friday at approximately 1 a.m. taking a cell phone while she and her 2 children slept in her bedroom. She said too that the response from the police was poor, sharing that when they arrived, they refused to leave their vehicle, opting instead to speak to her on the phone. Not even the window them won't carry down. Then call me upon the phone. While me in the rain after 3 I tried to talk to them. They said it was government policy, they couldn't come to dust or fingerprints or anything. They said they'll come back, but to this day them not come back, she stated. Equally, she claimed that she did not receive any of the care packages being delivered to residents, mentioning that she was told her vote was not in the constituency. She has been living in the area for 10 years. I just feel relieved. Me not tell no lie. I feel much better if you know say everything alright and him come out and can try make ends meet, because it's not easy. Me not able to go to the hairdressing shop and me can't make no money. So to know that I'm okay, I am very relieved, she said. Cornwall Bar supports call for curfew exemption. President of the Cornwall Bar Association, Lambert Brown, has come out in support of the Jamaican Bar Association's call for attorneys to be exempted from the 7-day nightly curfew imposed by government on Wednesday. On Wednesday, the Jamaica Bar Association wrote to National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang, expressing concerns about attorneys not being included in the list of essential service professionals who are exempt from being prosecuted under the curfew. The Northern and the Southern Bar Associations and the Advocates Association also supported the call. Johnson pointed to the importance of especially defense attorneys being able to represent clients who may find themselves in trouble for breaching the curfew, which runs daily between the hours of 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. from April 2 to 8th. With the curfew that is in place, it might arise that persons are taken into custody, and it must be recalled that once you're taken into custody, you are entitled to a call, and 95% of the time that call is to an attorney. And therefore, we should be allowed to be so exempted, because while we understand the need for the curfew, there must be a balance, he argued. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.